Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Hormonal Mama podcast. I am your host, Kara Drescher, and today on the show, I am talking with Adeola Mead, naturopathic doctor who specializes in helping people figure out digestive difficulties, which we all know affects, well, so many things in life. She takes such a unique approach. It is fantastic, and she also works with corporate wellness. So this episode is a fantastic episode if you're ever dealing with any type of digestive issues. Dr. Mead can point you in the right direction. So stick around, listen up. It's a great episode. Hi, Adeola. Welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here with me today. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It is my absolute pleasure. I'm psyched to talk to you about your work because you are a naturopathic doctor, which is a profession that is close to my heart. I am so fond of this kind of work that you do. And I'm just really excited to jump in and talk about that. But before we talk about your work specifically as a naturopathic doctor, you have a couple of programs that I'm psyched about that I want to hear a little bit more about. The first one is your 40-day Fresh Start program. I know that there's a lot of really cool, intricate, exciting stuff with that. So I'd love if you could just tell us a little bit about this program and what it does, who it benefits, and all those great things.
Sure. Yeah. So my program, the 40-day Fresh Start, is very much born out of my experience with patients over the past 15 years, where many would come in with a certain constellation of symptoms and often related to stress. So it would be, I am a busy mother and I'm stressed, or I am a busy executive and I'm stressed, or I've had a lot of trauma in my life and I'm stressed. And it's starting to manifest in these different ways. So lots of fatigue, hormonal imbalances, digestive disturbances, and either anxiety or depression or somewhere in between the two. So over and over again, I was treating these patients in, individual ways, but also with similar ideas to guide them along to resolving those symptoms. So I decided to turn some of those protocols into a program that focuses on looking at each person's body's metabolism with lab testing, and then helping them to address those concerns using diet and lifestyle, because that's the focus of my practice. I very rarely, even though I can prescribe medications, but we want to empower people with using their diet where they have the most control, their nutrition and their lifestyle, to help them thrive, to feel good in their body so they can move on and do all the things that they really want to do. So we look at their metabolism through blood work. And a lot of times people will come in and say, I'm so tired, but I've had some labs done and the doctor says that everything is normal, but they don't feel normal. So we look at those ranges and what's optimal for them within the range, because the range is really just sort of a suggestion of where the number should be. And you don't treat numbers, you treat people. So we look specifically.
Love that. I'm making a note of that because you're totally right. And I love it.
So we look specifically at where they are within the range and figure out what would be optimal for them. And then with the nutrition piece, I do food sensitivity testing because I find that a lot of people eat foods that are healthy. So many foods are healthy. Avocado is healthy, corn is healthy, dairy can be healthy, but they might not be healthy for them. And they don't know that those foods might be causing disturbance in their digestive tract or just inflammation. And this is somewhere where we have control. So we figure out if there are foods that are causing inflammation at that time, and then we base their diet around the results of those tests. And it's not forever. It's not like, oh, you can never eat dairy again. It's that right now this is causing inflammation. Let's take it out of your diet for about 30 days. And then give your body a chance to just clear any inflammation that has resulted from the exposure, heal some of the gut lining that might have been damaged, and we'll just start over. Hence the fresh start part, right? So the body heals itself. We give it a chance to heal itself. And then we can test over time, like, oh, let's bring back in, one or two of those foods and see how the body really responds to it when it's the only variable.
I love that. I love that. I don't want to interrupt, but I just have to tell you how awesome I think that is, because I think that is such a huge problem, especially in this particular culture, that you just want to eat whatever you want to eat. and you don't give your body a chance to really understand, well, what's causing this problem. So I think that's fantastic that you do this food sensitivity testing. I think that's just huge. So
Yeah.
I just wanted
Thanks.
to mention that.
Thanks. Yeah, a lot of people do find that it's often foods that they eat very often or they had never thought about that might be causing an issue at the time. And then once they don't eat it for a while, they're like, oh man, I feel clear-headed, or I feel so much better. It's sort of a reintroducing yourself to your body, right? And the body
Yes.
starts to, you give it a chance to speak to you and communicate with you, and then you start to listen. So I just find through the process, a lot of people are like, I know when I'm hungry now. I know when I'm full, I'm waking up without my alarm. So you're just like being reintroduced to your body and learning how best to treat it. So that's a beautiful thing to be able to see during the process.
I bet from your perspective, I can't imagine how like exciting it is to see people having these huge changes in their lives for something that you think kind of simple, the concept behind it. I mean, getting to there isn't as so simple. It's a little complicated, but in a simple way.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't word that well.
Yeah, but it's fairly straightforward and the concept is simple, but not everyone thinks to start there, right? And knows that that might be part of the issues that they're having. It's just hard for us to have perspective of our own health, honestly, right? It's
Totally.
it's really helpful to have someone just come alongside and say, "Here's what I see. Here's somewhere we can start." So,
Exactly. I
so
think
that's
that's
what I love to
awesome.
do. And then part of it too is so we do that bit of testing. And then the big part is helping people develop habits that will
Hmm.
help them sustain their health. So we're, treating whatever comes up with the blood test. So if you have some sort of deficiency or excesses and things like that. So we'll treat those with nutrients and diet and lifestyle and things like that. And then we'll, change your meal plan based on your test results. So, you kind of get going with
Right.
that. But then there's so many other aspects to health that need to be put in place and really to become habits. Like good health is a habit. It's not that
Hmm.
people just wake up and have glowing skin and, toned muscles and incredible digestion. You know, some some people have many of those things just naturally, but we really need to work at creating habits to help us to maintain our health, just as basic self care. So I have a course called Self Care School. So each participant is enrolled in this course and they get daily content with information on what to do that week that is a mind and body practice. So it could be this week is implementing therapeutic foods. Here are so many foods that are healthy and that are really medicine for your body.
Hmm.
And here's something else you can do that involves your mind and your spirit to nourish your body. So the therapeutic food week is also coupled with gratitude, because that's an important way to nourish the spirit and nourish relationships and to connect with ourselves and how connect the dots on how we are relating to the world around us and the people around us. And so
Definitely.
they have content every day to move in the direction of putting these practices, as foundations in their lives. And then we meet every week. How did it go? Which food did you choose? What was your practice looking like? Did you have
Hmm.
a practice before? And people sometimes are just like, I had a practice before and I haven't done it in a while, or it's not my thing. And like, gratitude is everyone's thing. Just,
Right.
even if you're a pessimistic person, you can think, well, it could have been worse. I could have fallen in a pit of fire,
I mean, that's true.
Any, anything could happen. And
That's a good
that's
example.
yeah, that's one way of expressing gratitude if it doesn't come
Really.
naturally. But those practices need to be in place so that once your body is strong, then your mind is strong too. And there's little you can not do when your mind and body are strong and in harmony. So, yeah.
That's
Yeah. So
incredible.
thanks.
I love
Thanks.
that it's called self-care school.
It is. It
I
is.
mean, because self-care is something that so many people just don't do for themselves. They just don't even think about how extremely important it is to lead a healthy life.
Yeah. And just to remember that they're habits. They really are. And I ran an event last week called Taking Action in 2022. And it was all about setting goals and making sure that the goals were really aligned with something that's meaningful for you. And I put in the presentation that taking a break, eating food, moving your body, like those are not rewards, right? They're not rewards for, I was saying you should celebrate your successes no matter how small they are, but taking a break is not a reward. Like those are basic self-care. You need to do that. We all need to take breaks and hydrate and do things we enjoy. Like those are the minimum. Rewards
Definitely.
are like, trips to Fiji or something like that.
That's a nice reward. I want that reward.
If you're doing pretty well and drinking enough water every day, you
Maybe you can
might
treat
just merit
yourself.
something. um, at the end of my program, when things are looking just really good, and it's about the 40-day mark, then we do a gut microbiome test where it gives us sort of a spot check on how is your overall health looking. So it gives us ideas on how your digestion is looking, your emotional balance, your immune fitness, your energetic fitness, um, and just sort of your overall metabolic health. And then gives some long-term maintenance recommendations from there as far as like diet and supplements and mindfulness and exercise. So you have like a really nice runway to keep going on all of the changes you've made. So it's so fun. It is so fun.
I can see that. I can see your passion. And that's so awesome. You love what you do. And
Thank you.
like,
I do
what's
love what I
better
do.
than that, you know?
I
Not
cannot
much.
imagine anything better. No.
I love it. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, that's so cool.
yeah.
That program sounds so incredible and so really life changing. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. And I've been treating patients for, years and years now, and people would get better over kind of a short period of time, depending on how invested they were. So once I put the program together, I realized that really we could condense what is usually months of treatment into
Hmm.
about that 6 week period, and really more like in a 4 week period, people will start and say things like, oh, this and this and this is resolved, and my energy is all the way up, and all like things really shift quite a lot. So it's just nice to be able to condense so much of the progress that I've seen people have over the years into a discrete program. Um, and just recently, I had someone who went through the program who was a COVID long hauler and had been like 18 months
Mm.
of
Oh,
immune, oh gosh, just kind of holding on tight and feeling like they were going to fall sick at any given
oh,
point and was
so
just
awful.
struggling. Really a remarkable person who had been struggling for a while. And she went through the program and she just said that it was a game changer. She used the word life changing, which is just so validating and just
Yes.
such an incredible experience to hear that something that I'm able to facilitate because I'm along the journey with people
Hmm.
who are really invested in making these changes, and I give guidance and I have a framework, but she put the work in, and then to know that it changed her life, and she probably thought that she was going to have these symptoms forever and had a community around people who had all been dealing with long-term symptoms, and her energy was better, her immune system felt strong, her mood was great, so just that shift of thinking this was the rest of your life to, oh no, there's a lot more vitality, and to be able to experience that alongside someone is really tremendous.
Oh, I mean, I have chills. There's just, it's so powerful to
Oh god.
watch that kind of transformation in someone, and especially that story you just shared. I mean, gosh, I mean, COVID itself is such a nightmare, but the people who are really suffering, who are in that that long haul with it, because I mean, I know that a lot of people suffer in that respect, aside from everything else, and I just think that's so incredible to have that experience of like you said, sort of walking alongside someone while they're going through this, and you can help them, and you can see their life change in front of you. I mean, I'm getting misty thinking about it because that's just very powerful and incredible
Yeah,
and very exciting, I
yeah,
think.
it's very humbling just to
Yes.
yeah, just to experience it alongside with them and witness it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. The other thing I wanted to ask you about is the corporate wellness work that you do, because I know that's a huge part of your practice and the work that you do, and that you feel, really proud of and really strongly about. So tell me a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so that's also kind of born out of and inspired by my work with patients over the past several years is so many of them come from incredibly stressful jobs, very
Mhm.
stressful jobs. And a lot of what we do is strategize around how they can take some of their power back from their schedules and from their, responsibilities so that they can take care of themselves. And after a while, I started thinking, I really need to get to these people before they end up in here, before
Right.
they end up exhausted and needing to just like rebuild their lives again.
Yeah.
So I put together some lectures that I give. I've lectured and presented on behalf of the American Heart Association and various companies and taught about heart health and how, oh gosh, cardiovascular disease is the number one killer in the
Mm.
United States, but it is preventable. It is
Yeah.
preventable. So that's, I think very convicting to know that this number one cause of mortality is something that we could really change and turn around with diet and lifestyle and proper management.
Definitely.
People usually are kind of taken aback, like, what? Like it's not just medications and
Right. Yes.
emergency room.
Oh.
No, there's so much we can do. So that was a really wonderful experience. I'm just being able to share that with people. And then I was able to lecture in some other like bigger tech companies as well on stress and stress management. And my big favorite thing to present on and offer workshops on is on self-care, but on mental wellness and cultivating mental wellness and
Definitely.
helping to build resilience. And we do it I think, in a unique way where we want an experience that companies and teams can um, embark on together. So it's not so much just individual health, although it can be individualized. But they get a team experience, what I call a wellness week, where they have
Hmm.
access to a program that is online and they get content sort of like in my long program, my 40-day program, but they get a week's worth of content where they would get nutrition and sort of general wellness tips, but then also a prompt to share about what they learned in my lecture. So we go in for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and give them skills, teach skills, and make them practice skills
Hmm.
right then and there during the workshop that would help them build mental wellness and resilience. And then for a week, they have access to content that'll help them, start with their self-care based on their nutrition and
Hmm.
movement and mindfulness. And then they can share with the rest of the group, like, how is it going? What worked for you? Little hacks and things like that. So they can be on this journey together. And then I come back on the end of that little wellness week and we ask, how did it go? What went well? What didn't go well? How did it go as a team? And then we give them some more long-term um, recommendations on how they can, right now maintain their immune health and strengthen their immune health using natural and integrative ways and methods, and also just healthy living in general. So we want to get them started, get them practicing, because I don't know about you, but if you've ever been to a training like at work or something, a mental wellness or like a corporate wellness thing, they give you some information and then, you leave and then it's
Yep.
over.
That's the end of that.
And that's the end of that.
Absolutely.
You forgot about it, or it was just you went there sort of begrudgingly. It's like you have all these things to do, but you're here too, and it's just it's gone. So I
Right.
like for them to have this experience where they can really implement it and build a bit of a foundation, and then build some morale in the group as well.
I love that. And morale, man, that's important because corporate world, I've worked in the corporate world and it's tough. It's hard to say more than that. And
Yeah.
I think morale is such a huge factor. And what a great way to help boost that though with this wellness work because it's needed. And I love that you're so excited about it. That makes me feel good. And I don't work in the corporate world anymore and I haven't for a long time, but I know how important it is. And I just think what a beautiful thing to be able to offer this to people. And again, change their lives, really. You bring them the foundation to help them build onto the foundation and build more foundation for themselves, and that's just, it makes me really happy. I
Yeah,
love it.
and I
And I
think
love that you're so excited about it. That's just, you see me just smiling. I can't stop smiling because it's just an incredible thing to hear.
thank you. Well, I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity for people to grow in what I call flexing their autonomy muscle, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like we get into these grooves. It's like, this is what I do, this is what I've always done, this is my routine, this is how it has to be. But I think sometimes an experience can help you switch on that light bulb of, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. And there are little things that I can do, and there are little habits that I can start to implement that shift the course of my day and the course of
Mm-hmm.
my energy. And I can feel my body better, and I can communicate better with, in a corporate space, my team members. And we can have, even if I have nothing in common with so and so in marketing, at least I know that both of us are trying to fuel our bodies better and take breaks and, practice mindfulness and so on and so forth. But we have this common thing that is beneficial for both the individual and the collective. And I think it's just important to have those ties that bind, so
Yes.
that you can work together. You can develop a little bit of an affection and an empathy and a regard for people who you have to work with, whether you like it or not. And if you like working with them, even more for you to have in common and to journey together into something that's mutually beneficial.
I love that. You're making me very happy over here. But because I, you know, I how can I word my thought here? I so often talk to people who are excited about their work, right? But when you face to face talk to someone and you give them a chance, and this is just speaking as someone who interviews people all the time, and you get a chance to see and hear their voice and hear their excitement and why they love this work and everything, it's just, I don't know how to word my thought. I kind of went on a tangent there, but I think it's pretty fantastic. Now, I do have a question.
Yes.
I kind of have a two-part. Well, it's more than that. It's kind of like a three-part question here.
Oh, I'm ready.
So, okay. All right. So let's start with, you are a naturopathic doctor.
Yes.
Tell me, there's really three questions I have about that. One, what made you decide to become a naturopathic doctor? Second part is, for our audience who might not know, can you tell us exactly what a naturopathic doctor is? And then the third part is, why are you so passionate about
Those are great questions. Okay.
it?
We'll take it from the top. What made me want to become a naturopathic doctor? I think it's really just in my blood. And
Hmm.
I say that because I I come from a family where if you were sick, you got a bowl of herbs to drink. You got, mashed up herbs to stick on your wounds. You got food, you got water, you got, really prayed over, like
Hmm.
everything that was part of our family life and our community life was medicine. It just made sense to treat people that way because that's how I had always been treated. That's how I had always seen healing occur
Hmm.
growing up. And my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father were all sort of like indigenous medicine men to a certain extent, by the way it's understood in this culture. I'm from Nigeria, and these were people who people in our community would come to and seek wisdom from and learn about um, indigenous herbs and medicine from and seek advice and seek community around that. So that also made a lot of sense, right? It's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is how we heal as a community. So I had always wanted to be a doctor. From before I can remember, my mom said that my grandparents would be sick and I would be, I don't know, something like 2 or 1. And I would say, "You're not going to die, Grandpa." And I would go and make
Oh my goodness.
something, whatever a 2-year-old had access to.
Is that the sweetest thing ever? Yes.
Yes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I would go and just make something, anything. I would give it to them and I tell them, don't worry, you're not going to die. And my mom said, and he didn't die that time,
Oh my
thankfully.
God, I love it. I love it.
And I would tell my grandmother, I think you need some injections,
Oh
and things like that. And I
my
was
God,
just,
is that so cute?
it just was who I always wanted to be a doctor and I wanted to be um, an obstetrician.
Mhm.
And I just thought, I love babies. I want to be a doctor. This is it. And then I was applying to medical school, and my older brother actually had looked into going to naturopathic medicine because my dad had some contacts in the naturopathic world, and but then he decided that wasn't for him. But when I was applying to medical schools, he said, "Have you looked into naturopathic medicine?" And I thought, "What is that?" And I read up on it, and I said, treating people, not symptoms, believing in the body's inherent ability to heal itself, treating the cause of diseases and like that. Isn't that what medicine is? And I'm looking around like, what's so special about this? And then I
Right?
looked,
Like, I knew.
right? So I looked and made some comparisons and I thought, oh my goodness, this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is very much a natural extension of who I am. So that's how I got into naturopathic school. And I was going to be a midwife. I was, because I want to be an obstetrician. I was like, well, naturally, I'll just become a midwife. And Kara, I had one class in midwifery. It was the
Yeah.
very first class. It might have been the very first class of all the midwifery classes. And she was talking about being on call, the midwife teaching us. And I thought, on call? What's
What
that?
now?
So I'm supposed to lose sleep. It had never occurred to me in 20 some odd years of wanting to be an obstetrician that
Mhm.
I was going to lose sleep. And that was the end of that dream. I was like,
But
well,
you
I
know
guess.
what? Good for you realizing that. I mean, seriously, because sleep, hey, I'm with you. I could
Oh,
never do
no.
that for that reason alone.
Yeah, no, it wasn't going to work. So I thought, well, at least I can still be a naturopathic physician,
It's so
which
funny.
is really a primary care physician that focuses on non-drug therapies.
Love
That's the
it.
simplest way to describe it.
And that's
So
perfect. I
yeah,
love
I
that.
mean, we can prescribe medication, but there's just so many things you can do before that and around that that support the body's inherent ability to heal and really to thrive. That's not based on medication. So those are all the things that we become experts at, um, and that's what I do, and that's how I've always practiced. And why I'm passionate about it is really because it works. It makes so much sense to give people back their power, to teach them ways to take the best care of themselves. But it's never just yourself, right? It's
Mhm.
always you and the microcosm that you inhabit. So if I teach one woman how to eat in a way that nourishes her body, she tells all of her girlfriends, she feeds her family, her children, her partner differently. She tells everyone in her circle. So now I've not only treated that person, I've also impacted this whole social circle, this whole family circle,
Oh my
potentially generations from there. And so there's just like no end to the inspiration to, for example, a woman who recently finished my program said that she didn't know she was sensitive to gluten, but it makes so much sense. So she
Mhm.
called her whole family and told them, and their aunties, they were just like, yes, I knew it all the time. And she, was now this catalyst for change in her family just over the phone because she found out something that would work for her. She thought it might also work for them. And the love that you have for the people that are near and dear to you always is expressed through service, through sharing,
Yes.
and I just love to see those ripple effects. So I'm always passionate about being an agent of positive change in people's lives.
Oh my gosh. I mean, could you have said that any better? I seriously, like that's that's such an empowering thing to feel and to be able to make that kind of a difference for people. Oh, you are so speaking my language. Getting excited over here. I can't help myself because again, the way that you explain everything, the look on your face, you can feel your energy. I can feel this passion that you have for this work, and that's a big deal. A lot of people do not love their work. A lot of people just don't have that passion, and you do, and that makes you very special in my opinion. So I think that's really incredible, and I like how you worded that.
Okay.
um so I actually have a question that I wanted to ask you because, you know, something that you talk about, excuse me, on your website really, really triggered my brain to think, I want to hear her input on this. And that is this, that you find that your patients often struggle with a combination of digestive disturbances, fatigue, and mood imbalances.
Mhm.
I want to ask you two questions about that. Why do you think this is such a common thing that you see so often? And how are these issues connected? Because I have some thoughts in my mind, but I'd love to hear from you about that.
Sure. Um, why why do they come together and how are they connected? Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. I over the years I've seen that they come together mostly because our we think we are one person, and we are, but we're made up of many systems. And now we know we're made up of many, many, many microbes.
Hmm.
And so we are a community of of life, of different types of life within our system. So this is your microbiome, and most especially the gut microbiome. So when we have changes in the ideal balance, then there's a ripple effect, right? And I find that a lot of this comes from stress, either a psychological stress, a physical stress on on the system, or a change that shifts from the ideal balance to a less than ideal balance. So with a lot of my patients, it's pressure, right? It's
Hmm.
like trauma, emotional trauma. It's just like the nonstop grind of a lot of responsibilities, be it caretaking or work responsibilities in their career, or a combination of both, or relationship, you know, trauma.
Hmm.
And it causes, it's not just something in your head, right? And there is no separation from head and heart and body and any other part of
Absolutely.
our being. So these stresses lead to a shift in our ability to cope, right? The body, we're always trying to survive, to adapt. So let's say something stressful happens, or it's been happening for a very long time, the body will say, well, we better just buck up and get this taken care of. So you
Right.
start to produce cortisol. Great. So cortisol is a stress hormone, and it's in short bursts and at the right amounts, it's great. It's anti-inflammatory. It gets you out of bed in the morning. It's a motivator. It's fantastic. It's helping you adapt to stress. Well, if that goes on for too long unchecked, then it becomes inflammatory. It'll start to shift the way your metabolic system works. So now, because cortisol is high, you're going to have an imbalance in blood sugar, and that's going to make you want to probably eat more sugar to help you balance, because our brains use only sugar for fuel. So before you know it, we are trying to fuel our bodies to manage the stress. Imagine a tiger is chasing you, right? That's a stress, a basic stress of,
Hmm.
rudimentary life. So let's say a tiger's chasing you, you need fast fuel. So if your work situation, your life has become so intense, that you're having a stress, much like a lion or a tiger chasing you, you need fast fuel. So now we're eating quick, sugary foods to keep
Right.
going. Okay, well, that turns into a bit of a vicious cycle. And the more sugar you have, the more that you want, the more cortisol it increases, and that shifts your metabolism. It shifts the way your thyroid works. It shifts the way your reproductive hormones are supposed to work as well. Because the more we make cortisol, the less women in particular are able to make progesterone. So now you have relatively less progesterone than estrogen. So now periods are way more painful. There are lots more premenstrual symptoms, and maybe periods are becoming irregular because of stress.
Right.
This also changes the environment in the gut,
Mhm.
and it's going to favor the growth of non-beneficial bacteria. So now digestive changes are going to start to occur. And most of our serotonin, which is our neurotransmitter of well-being, feeling harmonious and happy and well, is produced in the gut. So any
Mhm.
shift in the gut that favors non-beneficial bacteria is also going to be disadvantageous for the appropriate production of serotonin. So now we're starting to see digestive disturbance, but also more depression or anxiety, all because of this unchecked, poorly managed, but chronic stressor, be it a physical stressor, environmental stressor, or an emotional, mental stressor. So they come together because they have this common underlying cause often. And wait, what was the other question? Oh, wait, no, I lost it again.
We were talking about the combination of digestive disturbances, fatigue, and mood imbalances, why they're so common, and how they're connected.
Yeah, so
Or
that's
why
how
they're
they,
so common.
yeah, because they come together because they have this underlying foundational cause,
Mhm.
which is stress that leads to shift in hormones and hormone balance due to trying to cope with the stressor. And then all these symptoms sort of pop up. So instead of, kind of putting out symptom fires, my approach is to figure out what was the underlying stress that caused those different symptoms and deal at that level. So a lot of times that requires, again, re-examining lifestyle and
Mhm.
implementing self-care in a way that you can bring down those stress hormones, so you're not always just like living on the edge of the wave of cortisol keeping you going,
Right.
kind of taking our power back through self-care. But then also there's so many different practices and routines and also herbs that can help the body really grow in resilience. So we figure out what combination is right for each person, and then all of a sudden, all of those symptoms that came from this underlying cause of, mental, emotional, physical, or environmental stress start to resolve.
Wow. I mean, it makes so much sense, but like you don't think about that. You know what I mean? Like when I say you, I mean in general, people just like we don't think about these things. But when you really break it down the way you just did, phew, that makes a lot of sense. It
Right.
makes a lot of sense. And it's like, oh, all right, let's get this stress under control so we can actually live a happy life here and not be in pain and have all these issues all the time. I mean, gosh, gut health is one of these things that I feel like people are finally really talking about. I don't know why people have shied away for such a long time talking about it, but I love that you're not just talking gut health. You're talking about all the things that affect your gut.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, your gut's not on its own. It's not its own organism, right? It's all
No.
connected.
Yeah. And there's more interest now in the gut brain axis than there has been before, because
Mhm.
there is a whole entire brain in the gut.
Yeah.
And it's very intricately connected with the brain in our heads, but then
Mhm.
most of the immune system is housed in the gut. Your digestion is housed in the gut. A lot of neurotransmitters are housed in the gut. I mean, so much of your nervous system, like so much resides in the gut that if you do not treat the gut, it's very, very difficult to make progress in establishing health.
Definitely. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. So now is the time in the show where I like to change gear a little bit, ask you some fun questions. And these are questions I ask all of my guests, and I think they're really fun. They make you think. Yeah, sometimes people get really creative here, so feel
Mhm.
free. I will give you two questions. You can answer them in any order that you want. They're
Okay.
similar, but also very different.
Okay.
Question number one is: who are the three most influential people or who have provided the most inspiration to you? And the second question, you know what? We'll answer that one first and then we'll get to the second one. That's what we'll
Okay.
do. It'll be easier that way. Don't want to overload your brain.
I mean, to narrow it down to three
It's
is
hard.
is hard, but how about I make two people and one group of people, shall we say?
Absolutely. People do that all the time when I ask this question. So go for it. Whatever works for you.
Being creative now. So I would have to my two people I think would be my parents, honestly. The older I get, the more I think about how brave they were in raising our family. Like, they brought four kids to a whole other country and a whole other culture bravely to raise us here and give us different opportunities. And they were such different people. My dad is, a blessed memory, and passed away, I don't know, 16 going on 17 years ago. But
Wow.
just his dedication to encouraging us and offering us opportunities and just always cheering us on. He always said things like, if you go to him with problems, he'd say, you don't have problems, all you need is encouragement. And I'm like, it's true.
Oh my God, I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
I just felt that in my soul. How
Yeah.
incredible.
So just like incredibly supportive and always figuring out ways to make things work in our favor and helping us grow in resilience and expressing gratitude. So just his jovial spirit like still inspires me. I think will forever inspire me. He will forever be raising me. Everything he ever said pops up throughout my life, and he is and will forever be raising me with that jovial, wonderful, beautiful spirit. So definitely my dad. And my mom too, she's again, just a really brave, strong, um, savvy, like resourceful woman for me to look up to.
Hmm.
And the way she cared for us is just different, right? Just like different um gifts, and she was
Hmm.
always just pushing us to try something different and not worry about all the things that could go wrong. Just do it, just try it, we'll figure it out later, just like keep
Oh my
going.
God, I love
um
that.
yeah, and I
Great
just
approach
know,
to life.
oh my gosh, and there's just so many things that I would never have done, never have tried if it were up to me based on my personality, that I got to do because of her and her personality. She's
Hmm.
go for it. We'll figure it out. So that's always that is so inspiring to me. And I'm just so grateful for all of their, you know, support and just believing in me and believing in all of us, right? And seeing our potential and then working hard to help us realize it. So definitely those two. And then the other group, the ones that inspire me really are my kids. I have three little ones,
I
and
get that.
I feel like each one is a different uh, inspiration. So my oldest is just basically my entire heart walking around in nearly 8-year old's body,
Mhm.
like saying the things that my heart would say, and like just in his little glasses and just so sincere and incredibly loving and wonderful. And my first baby love inspires me to be loving the way that
Mhm.
he is. And I have a 3-year old, and he's more of my personality actually. Like he's
Mhm.
jovial and funny and carefree, and he's my joy, just like a little joy going around and doing adorable hilarious things. And then my youngest is 15 months old, and she's kind of my peace. She's just sweet and kind and just like a real girlfriend. I didn't expect to have like a little 15-year-old girlfriend who just likes to hang out, and
Oh my
she
gosh,
just
I love
likes
that.
to be together, in just the sweetest way. And it's just so peaceful and grounding. So they inspire me to be the type of person and the type of doctor and
Mhm.
wife and mother and friend, the type of person who they can be proud of and who they can say one day that my mom loves us and loved us and took chances on us and believed in us and went for her dreams. So I'm wanting to live the kind of life where they'll see what's possible,
Mhm.
and that inspires me, that spurs me on. It's like, yes, I want them to see in me an example of what they can achieve and surpass, in
Yes.
every way. So yeah, those are my
Oh,
influences and inspirations.
what I always do that. I always say, what incredible answers. Because every single person I ask these questions to have such fantastic, really, really great answers because it comes from your heart.
Yeah, it's a
Every
great
single one of those.
yeah.
I love that you put your 3 kids in there. I hear that a lot from people, and I can relate to that, because I have 2.5-year-olds. And man, I just love it. It just makes me so happy. I just like hearing the way you described these 5 people,
Mm,
your parents and your children, the way you described their not just who they are, but what they mean to you,
yeah,
and it just, I don't know, it's like warm and fuzzy feeling.
yeah.
Okay, so
Thank
question number 2, and this one is this one's fun. If you could have, I'm going to say, a dream gathering, dinner
you.
party, it could be hanging out with people, it could be taking a walk, it could be getting drinks, whatever that is for you, whatever you really enjoy. I say dinner party simply because I like to eat. Food's my favorite thing, and if I could eat all day long, I would, but I can't. So if you could have your dream, whatever, with 3 people, now I'm going to put people in quotes because they don't have to be people.
Okay.
They can be animals, they can be spirits, they can be animated characters, they don't have to be real, they can be, I've had people have characters from books. I mean, it can be anything you want. 3, I'm going to say, beings, fictional or real, dead or alive, from history, now whatever.
Yeah.
The floor, what am I trying to say? The world is your oyster, is what I'm trying to
Right.
say.
All right.
Whatever it is, it's up to you. Who would those 3 be and why?
Okay. So I think the first would have to be Jesus, to be
Mm-hmm.
completely honest. My faith is very important to me. It's my foundation and, the source of everything I'm able to be and do. So I would just love to, I don't know, what are we doing again? We're eating. I love to eat too. So I would just love to eat like foods that I can't even imagine, like
Yes.
and just eat and discuss and learn, if you believe that, God created us, then I'm just like so curious on why and how and all like the intricacies of each being. And my head would explode, but I would love I would
But it would be
love
worth it.
the opportunity to have my head explode
I
that
love
way.
it. Love it. Love
It's a
it.
good way to go.
I think so.
And secondly, I would choose my grandfather because I have heard so many incredible stories about how wise and kind and inspirational and loving and beloved he was. And there's a story about how, this is my paternal grandfather, he um, named all of us kids, and all of the kids in the family, all the cousins, everybody. So in our family, that was the tradition: is that my grandfather would come and look at baby and name them.
So
So
amazing.
the story is, before the night before he came, I think, to the hospital to name me, he had a dream of his mother, and she guilt tripped him and said, "You've forgotten all about me." And he said, "No, no, I love you. I have." And she said, "Yes, you have." So the next morning he came and he named me after her.
Really? Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
So I would just love to sit with him and learn more about, my namesake, and
Yeah.
just kind of sit at his feet and experience this character that I learned was so beloved. Um, and my third one would be, and this is a little bit potentially out there, but Dolly Parton. I
That's not out
love
there. She's
her.
incredible. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
I love her so much. And I told my husband that if she ever dies, and I mean that seriously,
Mhm.
that I would hope she would go before me, so that if when I die, she would be the one to welcome me into the pearly gates, because I believe she's an angel. And that's how I know that I made it, because Dolly was there. I just love her so much. It's just like,
Awesome
really?
one.
I'm like, yeah, she's
That's just how it
basically
is, honey.
everything. So yeah, I would want to spend time with Dolly Parton. I mean, if anyone knows her, just tell her she's got
All
a
right,
fan.
folks, get the word out to Dolly, okay? Adeola wants to talk to her. Everybody listen up.
I just find her incredible in basically every way.
She is
So
incredible. I love that answer. She's amazing. I mean, what an awesome gathering.
yeah,
I
that would be
mean,
a good one, wouldn't
that would
it?
be a really good
Yeah,
one.
that'd be a good one.
It'd be a fly on,
Me, it
on the
would.
wall there. What's that?
I said for me, it'd be great.
Right? You'd be in heaven. You'd be like, you're all amazing. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I love it. What a
Yeah.
great dinner party. Would it be a dinner party? Yeah, you said it would be.
Yeah. No, I love food.
You love food. Food is the greatest thing on earth, in my
It
opinion.
is the greatest thing. Yes.
I love food. Awesome. Okay. My very last question for you, Adeola.
Yes.
Where can our listeners find you in this crazy world of ours? How can they find you and connect with you?
Sure. Through my website is probably best. So it's www.dradeolamead.com, DRADEOLAMEAD.com. They can also call or text, 206-558-6688. And yeah, find information via my website. I'm pretty active on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So if you just Googled my name, you would find me. And I'm, always happy to connect with people who are interested in really finding their way to thriving, or finding a way to inspire those, that they're entrusted to thrive. I'm missing.
You're me.
I'm losing my words.
This is me all day long.
Yes. People who are entrusted with others, I would love to support them in helping their team, their family thrive, because I think it's just really important to share the wellness, right? It's like share the love, share the wellness.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I will put all of that in the show notes. Make sure that people can find you. And Adeola, I just want to thank you so very much for being with me today and sharing all this incredible work. You have such a great story, and I've said it about 15 times, but man, I can feel your passion for your work, and that's such a beautiful and unique thing. And I'm so glad we connected. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a real, real pleasure. I appreciate it.